Friends, I have some bad news. It turns out Lowne Aerospace Flight Director Gene Kerman invested all of our funds into a new cryptocurrency called Kerbal 2 coin, which turned out to be a giant scam, and we now basically have no money to build rockets anymore. Undeterred, our top brass engineers set about scouring the scrap heap and raiding their own homes to cobble together a moon rocket on a $0 budget. And the result was glorious. And it was all possible thanks to bargain rocket parts recycled. Bust out the duct tape, we're going to space. This is a mod originally made by Rubber Ducky and made compatible for the newest KSP builds by Astrofox, MeCripp and Linuxgurugamer. So here we are in the vehicle assembly building. I have the Mark 1 command pod here, which we can't afford thanks to our lack of funds. So I'm going to use the mod Janitor's Closet, thanks for the suggestions everyone that told me about this mod, to filter out all the things we can no longer afford, which leaves us with just the bargain rocket parts mod parts. So here they all are here. To make things a bit easier, I'm actually just going to type in bargain rocket parts. And then we have them all here. So let's just have a look at what we have available to us. So we'll use this as the size comparison object, I guess. So we have the new Mark 1 command pod. Hatch closed before takeoff. It's a space box. It's a cardboard box. This is our new command pod, I guess. And if we want to send any probes, well, we have some probes made from barbecues here. So we've got the barbecue 1 core and the barbecue 3.7 deluxe. We also have ladder pieces. Well, a ladder piece made from an old pallet by the looks of things. Let Kerbals kind of get up to the hatch and close before takeoff. We have these basic plywood fins as well. And we have some science experiments. Here's one of them. It's the boombox. We don't think it'll work outside an atmosphere, but we figure it's worth a shot in the name of rock and roll. So there's one of the science experiments. There's also a clock. I think it's literally just a clock, to be honest. Sticking to just science parts while we're on this subject, we also have a lava lamp piece there. Very nice. And a microwave oven. This device will perform some sort of experiment with electromagnetic radiation. We're not quite sure exactly what that entails. All we know is that engineers told us never to open the door and that the device makes an intimidating growling sound. So, yeah, these are the science parts we have available to us. Anyway, let's go back to just looking at all of them. We have some engines as well. So we got a couple of liquid engines that are made from what looks like an old stove. So we've got the ENG20 and the ENG200. There we are, Mr. Heavy by the looks of things. So this is that's a xenon engine there, I should say, and that's a liquid fuel engine there. We also have some externally or radially mounted engines, I should say. Let's grab a fuel tank so we can have a look at those. Let's use this fuel tank here. So this is like it's made from an old trash bin. So we have oh, now why isn't this sticking? Oh, there we go. It sticks to the bottom. So there's the engine there. Oh, I see. So the fire extinguisher nozzle points down like that. So we've got some very low-powered engines there. So small, I assume they were for radial mounting. Apologies for that. What's not a radial mount engine as well? We have this. This is kind of our main first stage sea level engine, built from an old barrel by the looks of things. And we have another liquid fuel engine. Yeah, this is the radially mounted engine. I got a bit confused there. Don't know what that's made from. Does it say in the part description? Oh, made from now defunct beauty products. Okay, great. So that's made from beauty products. We also have this liquid fuel engine made from an old cylinder. RCS block made from what looks like Coca-Cola. Other brands of fizzy drink are available. We have another, it's a stop sign. A small liquid fuel tank there. We've got a big fuel tank here. Made from, well, you can see its constituents there, sort of duct taped together. Bargain rocket fuel tank, I guess. So they were the storage silos. We've now been repurposed them into the fuel tanks. We have another slightly smaller fuel tank there with a plastic barrel and a fridge to store, I guess, the cryogenic thing with even like a Bob Smells insulting text there. So then we have some monopropellant tanks. These are all kind of the same texture, just old tins. I think those all we've got some antennas as well. So these are, well, hangers. I don't think there's any more elaboration there. We have some plungers. These are our landing struts. Plywood fins we've already gone through. This is a radial stabilizer. As you can see, it's a washing machine. I guess washing machines spin. They're heavy and weighted. We also have a plastic parachute. This is like a radially mounted parachute. We have got a bigger parachute here, which looks like it's an old like stove pot. But as you can see, it's kind of a bit rubbish because the top of the box is open and it kind of clips through. And the mod makers actually thought of this, and we have a space box adapter that can go on top. And there we are. Now we can have 2 parachutes at the top like that. The batteries are a potato. Best battery. We have some lights, like a little desk lamp. This is a decoupler, so it's a tire. I believe there's a smaller tire somewhere. Yeah, like a little tire. There's another decoupler, so I guess there's like some explosives in there. A smartphone duct taped to the side of the rocket serves as a, what's it called? Probe core. We have another communications aerial there, like a styrofoam cup on a stick. And I think we've kind of gone through the main, and a little docking port there. So it's literally a magnet duct taped to some cardboard. Oh, this is just a funny one. I love it. We went through the barbecues. We also have this piece of like, don't know what this is going to be, some scrap metal. If you know what this is actually supposed to be, let me know in the comments below. But I think it's just a generic scrap metal thing that allows us to have 3-way symmetry like that. But we're going to try and use all of these parts to get to the moon. Probably not this rocket. We're not going to use this one, right? Let's cut to the launch pad and have a look at something that I made earlier. So here we are at the launch pad, and so thin was our budget that we in fact couldn't actually afford a new flag for this mission. So we're flying this. It's a tablecloth with bargain rocket parts written there in, I guess, Sharpie. This is the other extra part included with this mod. But let's look at the rocket itself. So we have our incredible moon lander at the top with all available science parts attached. We then have the landing stage. The stage below, we got quite a few of these tanks repeated. This is going to get us from low carbon orbit all the way to the moon. And then we've obviously got a triple core first stage that's going to get us off the surface of Kerbin and into space, I suppose. Now, I didn't use... There are some stock parts here that aren't part of the mod, but I used them as sparingly as possible. So because we don't really have any means of regenerating electricity, we have a single solar panel here. I felt we could stretch the budget a little bit. I sold off some of Bob Kerman's stamp collection to pay for this little solar panel. We also have some fins clipped into the side, because although these barrels do have some thrust vectoring, it's not very much. So I've got these fins. I also have these fuel lines as well and some struts. I guess the fuel lines aren't completely necessary because you can tell Kerbal Space Program how fuel flow should work and set priorities, but I couldn't be bothered to do that. We also have these parts here. I forgot to mention these in the vehicle assembly building, but these look like buckets duct taped to the side of the rocket. And I can only assume that there is explosives inside these buckets. These are the radial decouplers that we're going to be using. One last thing we can do is check in on how Valentina is doing inside. Yeah, there she is inside the space box. Let's have a look at her view. Yeah, so we've made some effort to draw on the UI. So yep, there's the hatch to space. Wear helmet at all times, because as you can see, this is not a pressurized module, right? That's just a hole in the cardboard. And we've got some things like there's a little dinosaur drawn on the side. Very, very important. We can push this. It's not going to do anything. It's just drawn on the cardboard, as is the abort button. But luckily, I guess Val can just sort of jump through this hole if we need to abort the launch. But speaking of the launch, let's go ahead and do just that. Isn't it just an absolutely glorious sight? Although it is admittedly a very janky looking rocket light, right? Thanks to our unfortunate budget restrictions. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for future missions though, because like I say, Gene Kerman has squandered all of Lowne Aerospace's funding. I guess one way we can raise some cash is by selling some merch. That's right, I have new merch out. There's a link in the description. Any landing you can walk away from, ... is a good one. My favorite Chuck Yeager, Michael Scott quote. There's our terrible not Korolev cross separation. There's no separatrons with the budget rocket parts mod. What's it even called? Bargain rocket parts. I'll put a link in the description to the mod, as well as, of course, a link to my merch. It's my favorite design. I'm going to stop talking about it now. But yes, as you can see, we are well into the burn of our central core. Obviously, when we detached those 3 side boosters, we were left with fully fueled tanks because, again, I used those fuel lines. So it's not an asparagus setup. I think it's called onion staging. We got all the side fuel tanks feeding into the central one such that when they detach, you're still left full fuel tanks. Very efficient way to fly. Never been done in real life like the same way because it's just too complex. I know whenever I say that, people then say, but like the space shuttle used fuel crossfeed, and you know that you're not being like, you know that's a disingenuous comparison. Don't lie to me. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it was the original plan for Falcon Heavy, to have the 2 side boosters cross-feed fuel into the central core, but it just turned out to be too complicated. They just never bothered. And I think towards, as Falcon Heavy started entering service, SpaceX already had their heart set on Starship as being kind of the next big thing that they were working towards. But not to get too off topic, here we are circularizing at our Kerbin apoapsis, and there we are. We have a almost completely circular orbit. 79,587 kilometer apoapsis, 79,497 kilometer periapsis. So very, very symmetrical. It's always satisfying to get those perfectly circular orbits. I mean, there's no real advantage to it, but it's just a satisfying thing to pull off. And as you can see, we've plotted our maneuver to get us to the Mun. And here we are commencing our Kerbin to Mun transfer burn. And this engine I didn't talk about in the vehicle assembly building because I forgot about it. But it's this weird, I guess it's like meant to be the Liberty Bell because it's a cracked bell, but the engine bell is literally made from a bell. I guess the engine that's closest to this one in stock KSP would be the Terrier engine in terms of what it's best used for. But yeah, just thought I'd mention that. I should have probably mentioned that my parts overview in the VAB was by no means exhaustive. Like, it was just to give you an overview of the vibe of this mod. I probably did miss a couple of other parts. And I don't care to elaborate further, okay? And there is our Mun flyby trajectory all sorted out. Now, a lot of the time when I make Mun mission videos, I purposefully set myself on a collision course with the Mun surface and then stage that our lower stage crashes into the surface of the Mun, doesn't get left floating around in deep space. But I'm not doing that this time because our lander doesn't have that much delta V. It has 1,313 meters per second. So you kind of like ideally want about a kilometer per second of delta V when you're on the surface of the Mun to get back, provided you're doing a direct ascent mission like this, of course. And so we don't have that much wiggle room, and we don't have any heat shield on the lander because there's no heat shield part in this mod. So I kind of wanted to bring a little bit of extra fuel just to do a bit of deceleration prior to Kerbin re-entry. So I decided to do basically the whole of the landing. But, well, I did the capture burn around the Mun, and I was like, why don't we just go straight into the landing burn? So we did the landing burn with our transfer stage as well. But I'm not going to detach it and let it explode and be destroyed on the surface. Obviously, we have to detach it because, we need to land on our 4 little plungers on the lander. But I wanted to detach it at very, very low velocity, quite close to the surface. Here we are, detaching it at less than 10 meters per second and under 200 meters above the surface. And I'll explain why I wanted to do that in a second. But basically, I didn't want to completely destroy that lower stage. And as you can see, it's remained largely intact. We've come down to a nice landing right next to it. But we started to teeter over a little bit. It turns out, I guess, plungers aren't the best things to build moon lander landing legs from. So I had to quickly launch into the air again and then sort myself out, come down, touch down at a slower velocity, and ideally at a flatter piece of land. And I would call that second time the charm as we've come down, landed and not fallen over. So there we are. We have successfully just about landed on the Mun. Let us embark on our first spacewalk. We'll just disregard the ladder because frankly I don't trust it. Our stove has held up very well. All the Bob Smells stickers, magnets are still in place on the fridge. I would call this landing a resounding success. Now we can, there we are. Now we can run some science experiments. Actually, because Valor's not a scientist, we can't do on EVA, so let's quickly board again. And do some science experimentation. So let us observe the clock. Time dilation definitely correlates with gravitational pull and velocity. Let's observe the lava lamp. The lava lamp swirls around like nobody's business. Might have to do with the extreme temperature gradient on the surface. Our battery is still holding the charge. Very nice. Where is our other experiment? Here we go. So we've got another battery there. Let us observe the microwave. Oh, very fun. You heat up a microwave pizza, drink a few cold ones, and stare back at Kerbin in awe. Oh, there it is. I am in awe, guys, looking at Kerbin there. And then finally, can we hear the boombox in space? Let's find out. You place the boombox face down on the surface and hit play. Nothing happens, of course. VV sad. Now, let's do a crew report. There we are. Yeah, no funny there because we're using the normal parts. Can we take the data? There we are. Take the data. Take the data. Oh, did I just press it? No, yep, fine. And that's everything from that side. Then we'll take the data from the microwave and take the data from the boombox. I have to do this in advance because although we're going to be landing this capsule, the bargain space parts mod, I can't remember the name of it now, does not have any heat shields. And we have re-entry heating in KSP1. So I imagine a lot of this stuff's going to get destroyed when we hit Kerbin's atmosphere. So take the science from the stuff as much as possible. That was not a very good sentence. Now, where is the crashed stage? Because I'm told that Bob Kerbin left one of his socks in the washing machine that we used as our RCS unit. But I'm all turned around. I can't seem to see it. Wait, let's just come to a touchdown. Oh, a bit fast. There we go. Can we switch to it? Oh, it looks like nothing survived. That's a shame. Can we turn on debris? Aha, we can. So here is the rocket. Where is Valentina? There's Valentina. So it's sitting by there. So now we know where it is. So I've already forgot where it was. Was it over here? There, I think it looks like that's the... Oh, there it is. I see it. Whew. And we make sure we can retrieve Bob Kerbin's sock from the washing machine. Which looks like the rocket's slightly embedded in this rock. But both machines survived. As did the Coca-Cola as well. So there we are. I can crack open another cold one on the surface. There we are. It's just... Yep, we've taken the sock. Very good. Excellent. So now let's make our way back to the lander and just perform a few more science missions. Oh, I don't want to crash into it. For a few more science experiments, I should say, including a EVA report as we tumble across the surface. And we could take a surface sample as well. Excellent. And of course, we have to plant a flag. Let's get a nice shot with our lander. Visible there with the fridge side, I think. Looks nice. Always like getting a nice little shot. There we are. Disable the UI. How is that for a beautiful flag plant? Man, that would do. That's hilarious. Okay, let's leave this place now and never return. We're going to get back on the lander can. Or I guess calling it a lander can is a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Here we are with the drawn on UI. And we can go ahead and lift off the surface, just gradually pointing along the 90-degree vector along the nav ball. I wasn't too worried about being hyper efficient because we have more than enough delta V to get all the way back to Kerbin. Of course, I kind of want to have as much delta V as possible when it came to trying to slow down during our deadly re-entry. So there is our apoapsis shooting up. I was trying to aim for around 30 kilometers as my apoapsis. I always aim for around 30 kilometers, in fact, when I'm going to Mun orbit, and indeed, when I'm traveling from Kerbin to the Mun. I don't really know why. I think it's because 30k was the cutoff for the slower time warps before I had better time warp installed, but I don't really remember, so don't quote me on that. I know some funny people in the comments are going to write that. They're going to Matt Lowne 2024 or whatever year you're watching this in, if this truly turned out to be a very timeless video. As we commence our escape burn. Now I'm going to cut to live commentary for the re-entry itself because it was a bit of a scary time, right? I didn't know if we were going to survive or not. So a fun old time we have by all listening to live Matt. Okay, so we have a periapsis of 35-ish kilometers. I see we are entering with 0 electric charge. Now I could go on EVA and just spin this around by pushing so that our solar panel is facing the sun. As you can see, it is not. But, you know, I think this is fine. We'll be fine. Let's just say we've entered the atmosphere. Do I leave the whole lander attached? I think I will, just to sort of help, you know, move our center of mass downwards so that the lander can itself is not bearing the brunt of re-entry. And here we go. Let's see if we survive. We're getting a lot of temperature gauges at the front. Oh, we've lost the microwave. I think we've lost the microwave, but luckily we stored all of the experiments. It was okay. Could I throttle up the engine? That might make sense. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. And we are at bingo fuel. There we are. And we're coming in at a nice safe speed, to be honest. So, yeah, and it looks like our solar panel is somehow working. I guess there it is. So that explosion actually was good because it spun us and made us face the sun. I think we can go ahead and just stage now. Deploy our 2 parachutes, our little plastic radial chute, which I added just for kicks and giggles, I guess. And we've got our main chute at the top just there. Coming down for a nice, safe splashdown. Cardboard, as we know, is very, very good for seafaring vessels. Australia always builds their boats out of cardboard and cardboard derivatives, right? You know, as we know from that. If you get that reference, you can comment below. But yeah, the sea is hurtling towards this. This parachute going to open up? I know it was a cheap parachute, but come on. There we are. And there you go. There's another part I sort of saved until now. The parachutes here. I guess it's like a picnic blanket maybe with other blankets and rug. Actually just a rug, isn't it? Not a picnic blanket. This could be a picnic blanket here. Some rug, some duct tape. All in all, very nice. And this parachute, I think it's literally a parachute, to be honest. Maybe for like an Action Man toy or something. Coming in for a splashdown. Oh, there we are. I forgot to drop out of physics time warp, but it was okay. It was all okay. And Valentina now is presumably face down in the water. Let's just spin her around so she could at least sit up. Turn on the little light as well. There we are. I didn't do anything. Let's get her out on EVA. Oh no, my plan didn't work. Let's just get her back in the box. And there, that's it. We can just await. We can just await recovery. And while we wait for recovery, I've got to give a big thanks to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube channel members. Their names there are on the left who help make all of this content possible. This is a really silly video, but this is a mod I've always wanted to try for a very long time. So I'm really, really happy to finally play it, basically. So I hope you enjoyed this silly little trip. Next week, I've got a really good mission in mind. It's like a really complicated Blunderbirds. I'm very excited to you guys to see that. So subscribe if you've not subscribed already, and I'll